speak about today is more or less the personality of Elkana, the husband of Hannah. And if last time we spoke about what he did and what his objectives and the changes he made in the whole concept of the Jewish people and their relationship to the Beis HaMikdash, to the Mishkan after the period of the Shoftim, today I'm going to speak about Elkana as a husband, as a person. Once we've spoken about Elkana, then we'll go to his other wife, Pnina, and then we'll go to speak to Hannah. Okay, but each one's got a different personality and each one's got a different outlook and story in this book of Shmuel. So now we're going to start off reading by the first sentences. Vayhi ish echad, line number 5. Sorry, 1 minute. Share screen. Sorry. Mina Ramatayim Tzofim Mihar Ephraim. There was a man from Ramatayim Tzofim, we spoke about it last time, Shmuel Elkana, and his name was Elkana ben Yerucham ben Eliu ben Tohu ben Tuv Efrati. He was a Levi. Lo shtei nashim. And he had 2 wives. Achat Hannah, Shem hashenit Pnina. Vayhi liPnina yeladim uleChana en yeladim. And Pnina had children, and Hannah did not have. He hayom, the day came, vayizbach Elkana, and Elkana made an offering, v'natan liPnina ishto, he gave to his wife, u'lechol banei u'vnotea, and his sons and daughters, manot, part of it. U'leChana yitain mana achat apayim. And Hannah he gave mana achat, one mana apayim. Now the word apayim is complicated. It's usually translated twice the amount. Et Hannah ahev. Hannah he loved. Hashem sagar rachma, and Hashem closed up her womb. Chiyastat Sarah, Pnina, the second wife, made her angry. Gam kas ba'avur harima, and made her even more upset. Why? Again, sagar Hashem ba'ad rachma. V'chein yaseh shana b'shana. This is what he used to do every day, every year. Day alota b'vet Hashem, going up to Hashem. En tachisena. Pnina used to make her upset. And Hannah cried, and she never wanted to eat it. Elkana, her husband said, Lama tivki, why are you crying? Lama lo tochli, and why aren't you eating? Lama yira levavech, and why are you so upset? Anochi tov lach me'asara banim. I'm better than 10 children. Now, this is the introduction. Here I want to look at the way the sentences are made up. Please take note, first of all, of the communication which takes place between Elkana and Hannah, and how the description is Elkana Isha, Elkana husband. Or you take the second one, or you take in the sentence before that, where it says in sentence number 5, Pasuk 5, line number 10, Yet Hannah ahev. He loved Hannah. Some special communication which takes place between Elkana and Hannah. Now before that, there's even a greater depth in this. Let's look at sentence Pasuk Bet, line number 7. Lo shtei nashim. Shem chat Hannah. Shem hashenit Pnina. Now, very interesting. It's not written Shem ha'achat Hannah. If you look at it, there's no definite article, the hey, before Hannah. And one of the great Mefarshim, the Chidah, asks that question. Yesh ledakdek gabe Pnina tiv natan lechana sorry, that's one question. Shem achat chana. It doesn't say shem ha'achat. If you look at the sentence number 5, it's written, Ulechana yiten. Pnina, it's written, the pasuk before that, V'natan lipnina. One is written in the past tense with a vav conversive. In chana, it's written, will give, constantly. V'od lipnina tiv ishto. Pnina, it's written, his wife. Ulechana asher ahev, and chana, who he loved, it's not written ishto. These are beautiful, brilliant insight into the depths of the sentences. What are the questions which is asked? Why, which we've asked, why isn't it written the definite article before the word chat in pasuk bet? Why is it written v'natan lipnina, chana yiten? Why is it written pnina ishto and chana ahev? It's not written chana, his wife. Now, one of the great commentators who we spoke about, mentioned last week, has a wonderful, wonderful insight into the first question which we asked, why is there no definite article? And he says the following, it's written in the Torah concerning the korbanot, et hakeves echad aseh baboker, et hakeves hasheni aseh ben harbayim. The same thing. The first one, there's no definite article. The second one, there is a definite article. And says the Ktava Kabbalah, somebody we mentioned 2 weeks ago. Hakeves echad, amru chazal, im ne'emar hakeves, it's written hakeves, the keves, lama ne'emar echad. Echad hamiyuchad shebe'edro, the special one. Hakavana, al shem katuv bilshono, lomar hakeves hey, echad lo hey. Take note, et hakeves ha'echad. No, it's not written et hakeves ha'echad. It's written et hakeves echad, without the definite article before the word echad. Be'emet, kavana al shishana katuv b'shono lomar hakeves hey hayediah, echad belo hey. Be'emet shneim ru'uyim. דוגמה לזה, נאמר, שם אחת חנה, שם השנית פנינה. מן הראוי, it should have said, שם האחת. מנהג הלשון בכל המקרא, שם האחד אלדד, שם השני מידד. שם האחת שפרה, שם השנית תועה. אמר שם אחת ולא ה' בראש לחלק ההצטרפות שביניהם, ולהורות שהיא הייתה החשובה ומיוחדת בין השאר. It's not written שם האחת, שם השנית. What's it written? שם אחת. There's only one in his life. In Elkana's life, there was only one woman. That was Chana. When it's written, et hakeves echad, there's only one special keves. There's only one special person in Elkana's life. And that is Chana. And that's why if we go back, we will see how the sentences actually say such a thing. Lo shtei nashim, shem achat. There was one special one who was called Chana. And then there was the other one, Pnina. Carry on. Vayhi hayom vayizbach Elkana v'natan li Pnina ishto. Pnina, his wife. It's written v'natan. Lechana yiten. It was constant giving. It never ended. Giving never ended. It was constant. It wasn't one chad ami. It wasn't when he went up there, he gave. was constant. The connection between Elkanah and Hannah was constant giving. And why is it constant giving? Ki et Hannah ahev. He loved Hannah. In the world of Elkanah, there was only one wife, Hannah. She was the special one. She was the one who was above everybody else in this family. And that's why the introduction, Shmuel, wants to teach us this. Shmuel, in his perspective, teaches us what he felt the connection was between his father and his mother. Now, let's go one step further. If Hannah was his special wife, what happened? The Midrash comes along and tells us that the following. The Midrash says, what happened here? Sorry, 1 minute. The Midrash says, in line number 30, Amar Rav Yonah, B'Shem Rabbi Chama, Kivan Shera'ata Chana, Shelo Yalda. Hannah saw she never gave birth. Amra, Omar lo, I will tell him, She'achnis tzarati b'toch beiti. Let Elkanah marry another woman. I don't want to take away, says Hannah, the privilege of my husband who loves me so much having children. Mitoch kach, with this in hope, Yireh HaKadosh Baruch Hu nifkod oti. Perhaps HaKadosh Baruch Hu will see my chesed and he will remember me. Marla HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to her, Hannah, ifkadata tzli nefashot. You've given me a deposit of souls. Hashem said to me, you've created in this world, your chesed created new souls in this world. Chayecha, by your life, I swear, ni meshalem lecha. Batad Hashem Chana. Batar, and eventually she gave, fell pregnant, Bateled, Shlosha banim, V'shtei banot. At the end of the day, she had 5 children. This relationship between Hannah and Elkanah, where Hannah felt there was constant giving, allowed her to do such a thing, allowed her to give Elkanah the privilege of having children. Now, what we're going to do is, we're going to take a comparison between another person who was in the same situation, exactly the same situation. Who was that? Sentence 35, Yaakov. Yehav Yaakov et Rachel. The same way as it's written, Elkanah loves Rachel, Hannah. So it's written at the beginning, Yehav Yaakov et Rachel. Right. Now, therefore we have 2 people in the same situation. Obviously, there are differences. There are differences which we will have to analyze when we want to analyze the personality of Elkanah. Now, let's go back to the sentence. Let's go back to the beginning. Sentence number, sentence Suk Daled. Vayehi Hayom, and there was the day. Vayizbach Elkanah. Elkanah decides to take offerings to Shiloh. V'natan li Pnina ishto l'chol banea uvnotea manot. He gives Pnina manot. V'chana yiten mana achat apayim. He gives Chana double amount, or whatever the word apayim means. Et Chana hev. Hashem sagar rachma. Let's look at the Radak, how he explains. sentence. Line number 40. Vayhi hayom, yom moed. Doesn't written vayhi yom. It's vayhi hayom. It was a special day. V'midrash Rabbi Shua ben Levi omer, ze yom shel atzeret. It was Shavuos time. Shavuos time, he goes up. Shmuel goes to Shiloh. Hayom. Natan li pnina. And he gives pnina min hashlamim shaya zoveach. Ulechana yiten. Natan. Mo'az yibane Yoshua az yavdil Moshe. Mana achat apayim. Mana achat, says the Radak. Mana achat nichbedet. Gives her a very big portion. What's the word apayim? Lashiv. In order that she shouldn't feel angry. Ka'asa. Chen erech apayim, erech kas, etc. Vidrash. Ma'u apayim, b'nifilat apayim, etc. Adoni Avi, line number 47, says, Perush apayim kas. Lomar, kas aya noten la mana achat levad. Lefi, שהשם יתברך סגר רחמה. לא היו לו בנים שייתן לה מנות, או לבני פנינה. היה לו כעס ועצב. What does that mean? When Elkana gave Chana the portions, Elkana was upset. He was sad. He couldn't give it the simcha. He didn't want to make Chana feel bad, but he, deep down, was a sad person. He felt Chana's pain. Lefi, says the Radak, Lefi shaya ohev Chana, vaya mitave liot lo mimena banim. Elkana feels the Chana. He feels what she feels. He empathizes with her. There's this special communication, spiritual communication, which takes place between Elkana and his wife. And that's the word apayim. There are two angers here. Ulechana yiten mana achat apayim. He gave a mana achat with where anger was there. What was the anger? There was Chana who was angry. There was Elkana who was angry. Both hid their angers. But deep down, they were sad people. Elkana had already children from Penina. But Chana, who he loved, he constantly gave, there was a certain amount of anger. Then what happens is the following. There's the Alshich. Brilliant explanation. Vayi hayom, yizbach Elkana, siper ech nitgalgala tfilat Chana. How did Chana come along and pray? Hinei lo hayta notenet el liba litpalel. She wasn't in the beginning, she wasn't thinking of davening. Hayta mitnachemet. In a way, she felt comforted. Lirot ki isha ohava. Her husband loves her. He, alo ra'ata, היה נותן לפנינה אם היותו אשתו לכל בניה שהיו רבים. עם כל זה, even though the fact that that he gave פנינה and the children food, לכל הבנים והבנות לא נתן להקים שתי מנות, and he gave them certain amount. חנה הייתה ניתנת מנה אחת, שהיא חצי שהיה נותן לפנינה. Half the amount of the food he gave to Chana, and the other half he gave to Penina and all the children. נמצאת חנה נותנת כחלק שלושה, she got a third, Elkana kept a third, Penina and the children had a third. במה שהיה עם עין יפה נותן לחנה יותר מלפנינה, הלא אפיים, כלומר נמשכו שתי אפיים. אחד, את חנה אהב, הוא אף וכעס לפנינה, etc., etc. Now, what happened? Penina teases her, pushes her, presses her, and drives her up the wall. Elkana never ever says anything, just the opposite. But Penina caused tension in the family. And that's what happens. Therefore, because Pnina creates the tension in the family, were it not for Pnina, Elkana and Chana would have given up to their lot, would have created a family somehow, somewhere. Pnina pushes them. Now comes the final push. Chen yaseh, shana b'shana. This is what happens every single year. Idei alota bevet Hashem. Chen tachisena. Pnina makes her angry. And eventually, vatifkeh, Chana cries. Lo tochel. She can't eat anything. Yomer la Elkana isha. Again, we have the same expression. Elkana isha. Okay? Husband. Not ba'ala, isha. Chana. Lama tifki. Lama lo tochli. Lama yira levavech. Lo nochi tov lach mi'asara banim. Let's take the concept of isha. Husband. Says Hosea. Aya bayom ahu, Hashem. Hashem says in the future. Yom ahu, ikra'i ishi. The connections between Am Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu would be that which is called ishi. V'lo tikra'u lo od ba'ali. Two concepts, two relationships exist. Isha, ish and isha, or isha ba'ala. Says Hosea, Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to relate to Am Yisrael as ishi, but not ba'ali. Let's learn Rashi. Ishi, avduni me'ahava, lo mi'yir'ah. Ishi, l'shon ishut, personal relationships. Chibat nu'urim, love of youth. Lo tikrili ba'ali, l'shon adnut, like an ownership. Umora, and fear. Rabotenu pirshu kechala beveit chamia velo kechala beveit avia. That will leave out. Says Rab Shin Shafayil Hirsch, Ish ve'isha mevate et yachas hashivyon, equality. Right? Number one. Shirak, we're jumping over the, what's it called? Line number 75. Shirak hi koret le'ish, isha al shem shivyonam ha'muchlat. לעומתם מציין בעל את השליט בכוחו הגובר. מכאן תבין, now you'll understand את הכתוב, תקראי אישי, ולא תקראו עוד בעלי. לא תראי את עצמך, השם says to עם ישראל, don't look at yourselves, נכנעת, being humbled, נשפלת, and lowered down לפני השם, אלא תלכי קוממיות, walk upright, באור פני המלך. So the concept of Isha means equality, connection. Baal is something lower. That's why in the Torah, we never find the expression Baal. Baal is always like an owner. When it speaks, Rabotai, to Chana, Vayomer la Elkana Isha. Now let's look at this sentence. What does it say? Elkana says, Isha, her husband. She felt. Look at there's a mapik hey, her husband. When Elkana speaks to her, she feels equal to him. She feels connected to him. He feels connected to her. And that's why he says to her, Lama tifki, why will you cry? Lama lo tochli, and why don't you want to eat? Lama yera levavech, why does your heart feel so bad? Right? Sorry. Lo anachi tov me'asara banim. better than 10 children. Let's look at Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu says the following. Vaterek Rachel. Rachel seed. Line number 80. Ki lo yalda Yaakov. She never had children. V'tekane Rachel ba'achota. Rachel gets angry, gets jealous of her sister. Tomer Yaakov, avali banim ve'im neta anochi. Chana, you never feel that. Chana, you never feel any jealousy. Chana, you never feel any competition. All she is he davens to Hashem. Okay? What does Yaakov say? Bicharaf Yaakov b'Rachel. Yaakov gets angry with Rachel. Yomer, Achat Elokim anochi. My instead of God. Asher mana mimech pibaten. Stopped you from having children. Let's take these two reactions. Yaakov says, I'm instead of God, what can I do about it? How does Elkana react? What does Elkana say to her? He says to her, I'm better than 10 kids. I'm not blaming HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Let's look at our relationship. Our relationship is one of ish ve'isha, equality, constant giving. If that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, I'll make up your 10 children. I'm making it up already. Let's look how Rashi explains these sentences. Rashi says the following, in line number 89, Anochi tov lach, Ani anochi tov lach michabevech. I love you more than all the 10 children, me'asara banim she'yalda li Pnina. I love you more than all the 10 children that Pnina gave me. I still love you more. Let's look at the Malbim. There's the Malbim in the next page. Yomer la, siper, shepam achat ratza Elkana lenachama. Elkana wanted to comfort her. Vayan, and he answered, Ra'a mimena shlosha dvarim, shebachta. She was crying. V'chein amar, lama tifki. Lo tochel, lama lo tochli. כעס. לזה אמר, למה ירא לבבך? אמר אליה, הלא סיבת הרם הזה, all your depression, all your bad feelings, ומצד התוחלת הממושכת, your constant feelings, your wishes, על ידי שתקבי בנים, that you want to have children, לא בתקוותך, לכן תזכרי בצערך, and therefore all you do is you remember your צער. מה בכך? לא גם אם תתייאשי מלהוליד, even you will give up hope. הלא אנוכי טוב לך מ10 בנים. Better than 10 children. I am better than 10 children. And I will always be there constantly by your side. The whole time. I will never leave you. I will never ever stop governing for you. But please, let's carry on our special relationship. Now, that is Rabotai, the what's it called? The objective of the beginning of this story. Now, let's try to analyze it. Let's try to analyze what we've seen at the moment. One of the most moving chapters which exist in the whole of the Tanakh. Husband-wife relationships. What it means. Never gets angry, never gets upset. He's upset deep down. But towards Chana, he will always be positive. He will always show his love. Chana ahev. It's not et Chana ahav. Ahev is constant. Yiten will always give. She's never considered ishto. She is what we say in Hebrew, ahuvato. His love. It's constant love, or what we say, beloved, never ends. And this concept takes place, and that's what Shmuel saw. That's how he describes. Now, if we compare the two, we'll now see a certain criticism of Yaakov Avinu. This, in actual fact, this relationship, you said you loved Hannah. How do you relate to her, Rachel, in this way? Therefore, we have sort of a comparison of two stories, two husbands. Each one, in a way, is normal. But there is the Ratsui, and there is the Matsui. The Matsui is Yaakov Avinu. That's what usually happens. Ratsui is Elkana. That's what should be. Yaakov Avinu, what you say in Hebrew, Al tiyeh tzodek, tiyeh chacham. Don't be correct, be wise. Yaakov Avinu was correct. I can't be in the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But he wasn't a chacham in that respect. Elkanah was a chacham. He was wise. He showed Hannah, let's see what can happen. Now let's go back to the texts. Okay? Now comes the next step. Chazal have a different insight, or an additional insight. Amar Rabbi Levi, line number 100. Amar Rabbi Levi, halo ani ino katuv kan. It says, Anochi tovlach. Why doesn't he say, halo ani tovlach? What does it mean, Anochi? Ela halo Anochi. He parenthesizes it. Anochi. Who is really there? Kodesh Baruch Hu is there. Anochi is there. Kodesh Baruch Hu is there. The same Anochi who said, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, he is more than 10 children. Not I, Elkana, but the Anochi. Anochi is better than 10 children. Now let's try to understand this midrash. One of the most famous statements on this subject was written by Rabbi Yitzchak Arama. Rabbi Yitzchak Arama was one of the great Jewish commentators in the 1400s. He wrote a commentary which is very, very philosophical and very influenced by the Rambam, etc., etc. It's a very hard book. This keta, this portion, is also brought in the Chama Leibovich on the Parsha of Vayetze, the story of Yaakov Avinu. She doesn't do the comparison between Yaakov and Shmuel, like we've done, like Elkana. Let's read what Yakedat Yitzchak says. After that, I will give you a statement which Nechama Leibovich, Alea Shalom, said about this. Vayikra Adam Shem Ishto Chava. Adam Arishon called his wife Chava. Barishona, at the beginning, Shera'a Ota, the first time he saw her, Etzem Me'atzamav, one of his bones, Basar Mibsaro, Gazar Aleha, gave her the ability, or the possibility, Lishtatef Shleimut Enoshi Echad Adam, Kara Ota Isha. Called her Isha. I am an Ish, I am an Ish and Nisha. We are both equal. Omnam, after we saw what happened, she, in inverted commas, okay, which shouldn't be, because Adam Arishon never took on the responsibility himself. He always blamed it on everybody else. Nobody took on responsibility for what they did. Chava doesn't take on responsibility, but she says, the Nachash gave it to me. And then Adam Arishon said, my wife gave it to me, like the good husband say, it's all my wife's fault. It's all this one's fault and my mother-in-law's fault, etc., etc. That's Adam and Chava. After he saw what happened, Hazar nakva b'shem acher. He gave her another name, Amoreh ala nikviut levad, which only spoke about gender, feminism. Uchava. That means she had two names, one which was equal, then came the second name. The second name is the fact that she can have children. Chava, em kol chai. כמו שפירש ואמר כי הייתה אם כל חי. כלומר, שאין עיקר כוונתה אשר היא אשתו. The main objective of a woman is not to be equal to him, רק להשאיר אמין כשאר בעל חי, but to have children. אבל בענייני השלמתם, as far as their spiritual uplifting, הכל מוטל עליו לבד. Everything is up to the husband. She is the one to have children, and I'm the one to go up to heaven. Hine, shnei hashemot ha'ele, these two names, nitba'er, shekvar yesh la'isha shnei tachliyot. A woman has two objectives in her life. Achat, ma shiyoreh alav shem isha, me'ish lucha chazot. She can be like a husband. Kamohu, like him. He has the ability to understand, plus skill, to become wise. דברי שכל וחסידות, כמו שעשו האימהות וכמה צדקניות ונביאות. כאשר יורה פשט אשת חיל מי ימצא. A woman can be great. There's no stopping of a woman becoming a Talmid Chochem just like a man. Nothing can stop her. She is like a man, says the Akedat Yitzchak. Asheni, Inyan HaOlada, also giving birth. Yota Kli Eleha. She is somebody a man lives with, Mutbat El Aleida, Gidul Banim. Kaasher Yoreh Alav Shem Chava, Asher Hi Hayta Em Kol Chai. Right. Ineti Aisha Kaasher Lo Teled, when a woman can't have children, לסיבה מהסיבות מנועה מהתכלית הקטן ההוא אל מציאותה. The fact that she can't have children doesn't mean anything. תישאל להרע ולהיטיב כמו האישה אשר לא יוליד. It means a woman who can't have children can be the same as a man. In actual fact, what? She become the greatest Talmid Chochem in the world. She doesn't, lo aleinu, if she doesn't have children, she can become like that. And that's what Rachel said, that's what Yaakov said. Chara af b'Yaakov, line number 118. Al ken, 3 lines from the end. Al ken chara af Yaakov b'Rachel kshamra hava libanim. Ligor ba, he got angry with her. Ulaskila b'zeh ha'inyan hanichbad. V'hu, she einena meta, she's not dying. In meta, what did she say? If I don't have children, I'm going to die. No, ma pitom, says Yaakov. Because we both got the same thing. The fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't give you children, then you're like me. We'll both go sit and learn together in yeshiva. That is what Akedat Yitzchak says. What does Yaakov say to her? Come on, let's go and learn together Gemara. Let's do Daf Yomi together. The fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't allow you to give birth doesn't mean anything. What's the difference between Yaakov and Rachel, Yaakov and Elkana? Yaakov does it in an angry way. Achat Elokim ani. Am I greater? Am I instead of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Let's go and sit and learn. What does Elkana say? It says to her, Halo Anochi, I am with you, and also HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with you. I'm better than 10 children, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu with you is better than 10 children. That's what Elkana says. He says it in the most beautiful way. The word Anochi has got 2 meanings. It's me as a husband, and the Anochi of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And together, we are better than 10 children. Right. That is the explanation of the sentence. Story goes, sorry, 1 minute. The story goes, one day, Hanan Porat, great Hanan Porat, was one of the great pupils of Nechama Leibovich, was talking to her. And she tells him this explanation of the Akedat Yitzchak. Hanan Porat said to her, look what you've done all your life. Look at all the Torah you, Nechama, have given to the world. What did she answer him? She answered him, all the Torah is not equal to feeling your own child. All the Torah which I have given to the world is still not equal to the feeling of your child. Now let's look how Rav Soloveitchik explains this sentence. Rav Soloveitchik says in one of his fascinating books, Adamu Beito, it says the following: Hu Elkana lo hevin takri'a la'ahava. He never felt the yearning of love, la'akrava atzmit, to the self-sacrifice, u'lemesirut al-enoshit, the mesirus nefesh which is above human, shebe'emtzauta magia isha la'agshama atzmit. Nobody, no husband, never understand what it means to be a woman, to be a mother. No husband will ever understand that, says Rav Soloveitchik. Never. Men not feel the same to their children as a mother. He carries on and says, Rak hila, only in a community, but shlosha chaverim, where there are 3 people, magi'im nisu'in limlo mimusham. Does marriage get up into its fulfill achievement? Only when you have at least 3 people is then considered a family. A husband, a wife, and a child. Mishpacha is only the family. Until you have children, you're a husband and wife. You're never a father and mother. Father and mother is a different level than a husband and wife. And that's what Rav Soloveitchik says. Rak b'kihila bat shlosha chaverim magi'im anisu'im limlo mimusham. Rak in a community which is made up of 3 people, at least, wife, husband, and child. That is marriage. Till then, everything might be good. That Elkana did not understand. That's what Nechama answered Hanan Porat alav shalom. Nechama aleh shalom answered Hanan Porat, with all the Torah which I'm given, I never felt a child, my own child. So therefore, what I'm trying to explain to you is the difference between Elkana and Yaakov. Elkana feels for Hannah. Am I not able to feel what Rav Soloveitchik is putting in? Because man is for Mars and women are from Venus. He tries to understand that. He tries to empathize, and he shows, listen, there are 2 of us in the world who can be your best companion better than 10 children. Me and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Let's learn Daf Yomi every day. Let's do this every day. Let's do that every day. Let's become most holy husband and wife. But it doesn't help Hannah. Hannah knows it. Hannah knows that's true. But it doesn't help her. And therefore, she, in actual fact, goes and davens. I want to carry on one more stage. I'm jumping over the Netziv because, okay, let's do the Netziv, the Hamek Davar, because this is in actual fact, this explanation of the Netziv, which you're going to learn now, is an introduction to how Hannah eventually follows what Elkana actually says. What's the sentence? Rachel says, Im ayin meta anochi, I'm going to die. Isha, mevakeshet banim, woman who wants children, amimu mevakeshet ta'anug. She wants to be happy. Teva isha, the nature of a woman, gadel lishtashea b'vanim. Have children, play with them, be able to be a mother to children. Pa'amim, and sometimes, mishum chuta liyada umara likvura. She wants to have children because she can rely on them at the end of her days. Now, to understand this in a deeper way, okay, in the olden days, I can tell you something which taught me a lot. Was once, my wife and I were once traveling in England, and we went to Stratford-on-Avon. And we heard a tour of Stratford-on-Avon, which was the birthplace of Shakespeare. We had a great madricha. She took us all around, and then she took us to the house of where Shakespeare lived, was born. She says to us the following. She says to us, tell me, how old do you think Shakespeare's mother was when she died? And he says to us, she was 33. Okay. Then she says to us, according to the books which they have in England, the majority of women in that period all passed away between 30 and 40. Okay. Often their husbands were a lot older. Older men married younger women. And often women were left as widows because also the first wife died, their second wife died, the third wife died, etc., etc., etc. Therefore, often women were scared. Women got married at a young age, and often their husbands could have been 10, 15 years older than them. Second shidduch, third shidduch, and therefore they were worried, who's going to look after us when we get older? And therefore she wants children in order that they should look after her when she's older. And that's one of the other reasons which is brought in the Gemara, which says women wanted somebody to rely on. Now, carries on the Netziv in line 129, and he says, "Tovat banim mishum ta'anug, ruya litpayes b'meh she'isha mareh la ahava v'chiba yetera." The person who wants children because of the fact that they want to have children in order to be a mother, etc., etc., says that sometimes her husband can fill in that space. She's got a husband who in actual fact appreciates her, lives with her properly, then she can be happy. That's what Elkana says to her. Lama tifki, lo anochi tov lach me'asara banim. All right? I'm better than 10 children. You can never calm a woman down when she says, what's going to happen when I get older? I know. And that's what happens. Shekafza Chana. Chana makes a vow. Natata la'amatecha zera anashim. Natata natativ l'shem kol yemei chayav. Chana says, makes a neder. If I have a child, then what? Then I promise to give him to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shiragza. He was a bit upset. לחשד שחשדה אלקנה שמרעשת עולם בשביל התענוג. All what Hannah wants to have a child is because she wants to have children to be able to bring them up. Says Hannah, I don't want it. I want a child in order that my child will be somebody who will lead Am Yisrael like my husband. That's why she makes that neder. She makes that neder, she makes that vow because she wants her husband to realize that the true meaning of a child is not only for a woman to have children or to worry what's going to be at the end of the day, but what? Be able that my children will be leaders of Klal Yisrael. So Hannah silently says that. That's what she says in her prayer. Let's go now to carry on the chapter. Vatidor neder vatomar. She makes a neder and she says, Hashem tzvakot, imra'o tir'eh. You will see oni amatecha, the affliction of your maidservant. Uzchartani, you will remember me. V'lo tishkach et amatecha. You won't forget your maidservant. V'natata la'amatecha, zera nashim. U'netativ l'Hashem kol yemei chayav. Will give to HaKadosh Baruch Hu all his life. Umora lo yaleh al rosho. He will be a Nazir. Hannah promises that what? That if I have a child, he will be given to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he will be a Nazir. Now let's take this sentence, how Hannah relates herself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How many times she mentioned the word amatecha? She feels that in the eyes of Elkana, she's his wife. Isha. What is her relationship to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Her relationship to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is amatecha. I'm like your maidservant. I'm subservient to you. Okay? There is another Anochi above me. There's not Anochi only of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of my husband, but there's another Anochi, there's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. She makes this neder. Right? And the Meforshim ask about this. How was it possible that she made neder? Okay? Where was her husband in all this? Where was her husband in all this? Now let's go to the final section of Elkana. Vayal ha'ish Elkana. This is after she's given birth. Ha'ish, the man. Chol beito. Lizboach l'Hashem et zevach hayamim ve'et nidro. Chana lo alata. And Chana doesn't go up. He amra le'isha. She says to whom? Her husband. Lo leba'ala, le'isha. To her husband. Ad yigamel anar, until I finish feeding him. Aviotiv, and I will bring him v'niret pnei Hashem. Ashav sham ad olam. Yomer la Elkana isha. Her husband. She considers him isha, and she is isha. Siyatov beinayich. Shvi ad gomlech. Sit at home until you finished feeding him. Ach yakum Hashem et dvaro. Hashem will establish his word. Vateshev ha'isha, v'teinik et bena ad gomla ota. Now, what's quite amazing is, take note, sentence chaf aleph, vayal ha'ish. Sentence chaf gimel, vateshev ha'isha. They now become man and woman. The fact that now Hannah has a child creates them not as names anymore, but a man and woman. They have community, they have a child. And that's what Rav Soloveitchik says. Hannah now feels that she's a woman, She's had a child. Let's learn the Malbim on these three sentences. Hayal ha'ish. What does it mean? Ha'ish, the man. Gamata, even now. Hagam shera'u hanes. Even though everybody saw the miracle. Shena'asa le'Elkana al yidei tfilato b'mishkan Hashem. Lo ala ish min ha'ir rak Elkana. Only one person, Elkana, doesn't manage to convince other people. Let's go all up together and to thank Hashem. Look what a miracle has done to me. No, the only one who's willing to go up is Elkana. Zevach. Doesn't mention anything about bowing down. His main, because it's written before Vayishtachaveh, it doesn't need it. Chana lo alata. Chana doesn't go up. Agam, even though the fact שהיה דרך היולדת לעלות בעצמה ולהביא קיניהם, she should have gone up and brought up her offerings as a woman who's given also in order to bring what we call the korban yoledet, korban of a woman who's given birth. B'chol zot, lo alata. She doesn't want to go up. Why not? Asher chashva, she thinks, shebichlal nidra, her vow includes, says that the first time, shebapam harishona sheteviu, the first time she has to go, sheteviu v'yireh pnei Hashem lo yamush misham v'lo yashuv od lo beito. She's scared that if part of her vow is to bring him to Shiloh, to Shmuel, then she'll have to leave him there. And therefore she says, wait. Let's wait a bit longer. Let me feed him, and then I will bring him to Hashem. Vayomer la, hinei haneder azeh. This vow, astahi belo dat ba'ala. Her husband doesn't know about this vow. Vahaya lo reshut. He had the power. La'afer ota ata b'yom shomo. He could have annulled his wife's vow that day. Bifrat beneder kazeh shelo haya la koach hazeh b'lo ba'ala. They both should have done it together. Aval hu, he, Elkana, kishmoa ata et nidra, when he heard a vow, heikim ota. He said, okay. V'amar la, asi hatov be'inayich. You do what you want to do. That is true love, Rabotai. True love in where there's an appreciation between the husband and wife. He knows why Chana really wanted children. Anochi, I'm like 10 children. Kodesh Baruch Hu for Chana was like worth of 10 children. She was willing to give up his life. She gave up her Shmuel's life, all for the sake of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So here we see what a true marriage is. Shmuel sees a family where there is a husband who never stops loving his wife. He never feels anything. He feels everything what she feels. And eventually, his prayers and her prayers get together, and they have the first son, who was called Shmuel. Okay, she feels that Sha'alti me Hashem. Eventually, as the Chazal say, she has more children. That is Elkana. Elkana, in actual fact, has two missions. To teach us the message of how to improve Klal Yisrael, but above all, how to be a true husband. How to be a true husband. And a true husband means empathizing, feeling, giving, loving, all the expressions which we use nowadays, which have become a cliche, which hardly ever exists. That is what I wanted to teach you guys today. I wanted to learn with you this brilliant introduction to the book of Shmuel. How Shmuel looks at his parents. How Shmuel feels for his parents. And now you can ask questions, whatever you want. Okay? Anybody want me? Okay? Please send me the recording of this share, please. Yeah. Got the last one. Yeah. Yeah. Questions, problems. All the old husbands can say what they like now. All the ones with hundreds of years of experience together. Right.
Of course, this is all from the perspective of Shmuel.
This is Shmuel's perspective, correct.
Who was writing all of this about his mother.
His mother and father, yeah.
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 So
what?
Whatever.
Listen, Anshe Knesset Gdolah decided to put this in the Tanakh.
Yeah, well, okay.
Okay? If they decided to put this in the Tanakh, it means to say that they felt that is the absolute truth. And it's a lesson for all of us. Never stops. Yeah. Harold.
If only all children felt that.
Harold, you're hinting as a male chauvinist.
No. If only all children felt that way about their parents.
Okay, great. I agree. Okay, then. I didn't know that was, I thought that was your perspective. Okay. I didn't realize that was your children's perspective. Yeah. Or children's perspective. Yeah. Yes. Any other questions or comments? Yeah. Okay, guys. Yes. Okay, keep well, everybody. I'll see you in a few weeks' time. Next time is on Pnina, in Yitz Hashem.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.